I want to greet children only. Children, good morning. Good morning. Okay, I will speak in African English here, not American. And that's what I was testing, whether you can understand African English. Oh, singing Kiswahili. It has made me seated there to remember how we usually sing there. And I thought that I could start preaching in Kiswahili here. But because there's English, I have to try and struggle with English, and then I communicate something to you. No, I'm not using point power here, PowerPoint. So don't sleep. Please wait for some minutes and then we finish and go. Maybe I will study how to use them, I don't know. Those days, they have just come and we have to learn. Children, I think I can give you just a small story about children. In Africa, there is a nursery school. Here, I don't know what you call them here, whether nursery schools. Those beginning, they are called what? Kindergarten. Okay, children, they know everything. You want to try a child, start telling the child a story or something, or questioning, they tell you, I know, especially here. I'm talking over here. You tell a child, you know this is what you are supposed to do. I know. You ask a question, I know. They know everything. Now, one small girl in their school of kindergarten, another girl tells this one, you don't know. And you know children, they know everything. You don't know Sabbath, Exodus 28. You don't know Sabbath, Exodus 28. That child memorized that. Memorized that so that she can tell somebody else who doesn't know. And in the evening, she went home, found her father sitting. The father was watching a TV. Father, you don't know Exodus 28. What is this? You don't know Exodus 28. And the husband had to call their wife. Come and listen. What is it, Mom? Don't know Exodus 28. What is this? The child is telling us. He have never read or heard anything about Sabbath. So the lady had known somebody nearby. Normally, she was known as a Sabbath keeper. She ran to that lady. What is Exodus 28? And then that lady took the Bible and opened Exodus chapter 20, verse 8. And read it to this lady. Can you please read us this book? I take it to my husband? Yes. She went with the Bible to the husband. Exodus 28, the one who didn't know, already the answer is here. They read and they were not aware what is Sabbath. They called that lady. And when that lady came to that home, they started Bible study. And they came to realize the day of worship, surely the so-called Sabbath is on a Saturday. They started Sabbath school there in their house with very few people, and finally it became a church. Who evangelized that home? A small child is the one who evangelized. So every one of us can evangelize. This church, although I say evangelism is the heart of this church and the very reason for its existence, this church. The president is the commander-chief of all the armed forces of our country, the Air Force, the Army, and the Navy. So is to Jesus. Jesus is the chief commander of this church, commanding men ministries, women ministries, children ministry, all the ministries to go and evangelize. In U.S. here, it is called the country of opportunities. Day and night, if you walk around, you found advertisements, hiring. And one day I asked, what does the hiring mean? I was not very sure what it meant. What is this? When we go there, we walk around the streets, in some buildings, hiring. Even at night, there are electrical signboards, hiring. What is this hiring? And I was told jobs are being advertised. Jobs being advertised like that, yes. My mind went back home. It is rare to have advertisements that there is hiring in Africa, in Kenya, let's say, for that matter. Not really to find advertisements that they are hiring. And in case if there is an hiring somewhere, you find a flock of people flowing there to be hired. Then if 100 people or 1,000 are there, are they going to hire all of them? Then they call for interviews to see who will be hired. But before I get to that, on 10th June, some Sabbaths which have passed, we went to some place where the camp meeting was being closed. Somewhere, I can't remember how we were told it is called. And when we were seated, as we are seated here, announcements were being made, and I came out with one announcement that we people in the U.S., we have a great problem. And I just listened to what the problem is in a country of opportunities. That we are lacking pastors in the U.S. Why are they lacking pastors in the U.S. and the colleges are here? The one who was announcing said that in our colleges, young people does not want to take pastoral courses. So that's why we are lacking pastors. Then I thought maybe because of so many opportunities and a lot of hirings, that's why our youths have been blocked. The spiritual eyes, they cannot see the importance of being a pastor or working for God because of so many hirings, so much hirings here and the opportunities. I just kept quiet. But if you remember, because I said I would tell you something back at home, if hiring is announced somewhere, for instance, when they are recruiting army men, it is announced, we will pass some place and recruit people to become army people or navy or so forth. And young people go there carrying their certificates to be recruited. You know, someone told us that when you go inside the interview room, they ask you to give them your papers. Okay, you give degrees that you have. Then announcement comes from the panel of the ones who are concerned here. We are very sorry, young man. We are not recruiting degrees people here. Try next time. We are recruiting diplomas only. Then a diploma person from outside also gets inside to be recruited. When that one, a diploma person gets inside, they look at the diploma of this young person. Okay, they tell the young person, we are very sorry. We are recruiting only degrees, not diplomas. So we are very sorry. This boy walks outside. They want degree, they want diplomas, they don't want the degrees, and they don't want the diplomas. Then who is wanted there? You know what happens? Thank you. The parents of the young people who want their children to be recruited, they normally see those interviewers beforehand, and they give the so-called KK, Kitu Kidogo. It's just a retro. They give retro. And the retro they give, you can be charged with 30,000 Kenya shillings for your son or daughter to join Army or Navy or Air Force. So now when they come with their papers, we are sorry, we don't want degrees, we are recruiting diplomas. They know the ones they have already recruited. And finally, they won't know who recruited. But the names of the ones who give little something, they are the ones who go and join the army and whatever. Okay. Now, here we are. The opportunities of America. They're hiring so much in America. Our young people does not want to join colleges to be trained as pastors. But if you go back in Africa now, where there are no opportunities, no hiring now and then, they have thought of how they can earn a living. Now when we try here, maybe my father did not give the little they wanted, you stay without a job. Now these have come up in Africa, how we can earn a living. Churches have started, very many. They are preaching strange messages. If you have looked at a church in Kenya, Chakahora, somewhere there, they preach that we better leave this world and go to Jesus as soon as possible. And the only means of going there is to die. So what you do, bring everything that you have. Some have sold their farms, they have sold their cars, they have withdrawn everything from their bank accounts, and they take that amount to the pastor and the ones who are preaching there. Then they are told the way to go to Jesus now. One way only. We die and we go up there very quickly. And there are some people who are preaching. If you are not aware, even likely to get someone even here. When somebody dies, oh, he went, he has been called, he has gone to heaven. We will meet you there. The same message. Very many people have died looking for the way of going to Jesus. Instead of waiting Jesus to come, they are just rushing there to go to heaven. But you give everything that you have before you go to heaven. There are some preachers who have come up there, somebody like Jesus of Tawangarer. If you become a disciple there, actually, you can get something because you will be recruiting many people to come there. And the main intention is to earn living from people. So even colleges and seminaries have been opened. People go there, you go just there, you study. And you study what they believe in their colleges. So these young people who do not get opportunity of joining army or Air Force or Navy or anywhere else, some of them are joining those colleges and seminaries. When they finish their course, they just come and look for a job of a pastor. Job looking for a job. It is not a calling but a job now. I remember one came for an interview somewhere. And he presented his papers that I've finished the course, I want to become a pastor. And the first question was, why do you want to become a pastor? And this is what he answered. I've tried to join a army, I've failed. I tried to join Air Force, the same. All the officers have tried to look for an employment, I've failed. So I try maybe an opportunity of the church to become a pastor so that I can get employment. Okay? That was not a calling to that person, but he was looking for employment. And I think you know whether that person got employment. Okay. Our aim of this church is to evangelize. Let's turn our Bibles to 1 Peter. I will just paraphrase some of this. I won't read it, but you read your Bible because I've read and I've written somewhere here. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 1 to 3. Peter is writing, being an elder like other elders, to all of us Men ministries. It is men ministry today. You have seen a man singing in the Kiswahili here. Boys, youth, and old men. We are men. We are men ministries. Then the reading goes this way. Elders, let us feed the flock of God, which is among us, setting good examples to leadership. You know, paraphrasing, you can read it from your version. Now, preaching or feeding the flock, it is not that we are forced to feed the flock. Number two, it is not because we want money that's why we should feed the flock. No. And number three, now, because we are feeding the flocks, not to become rulers to rule people, but examples to the ones we are feeding. You turn to Titus, the book of Titus, chapter 2. You read verse 6 to 8. You could even start from verse 1, but Titus is talking about elders, the ministries, men ministries. It says, train young men for tomorrow's leadership. This church belongs to young people because the old ones, they will pass on, and then the Jews, if they were trained well, they will get hold of the church of God and it will continue. Let us do good deeds as examples to these young men because they are learning us. As we stand here, tell them things they learn, they study us. Why don't you do what you are telling us? Says that let us do good deeds as examples to these young men. Number two, we teach these young men honestly and seriously. Teach them honestly. We teach them. That's our duty as men ministries. We teach these young people honestly and sincerely. And number three, we speak the only truth so that we cannot be criticized. Speak the only truth to these young people. They know how to study us. They look at us, they listen to what we tell them, and then when they get outside, they go and analyze what we were telling them. Why don't they do the same? Okay. When you go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 7, this is for us, all of us, men, elders, ministries. Let us be examples to all that believe in our churches and around. Paul is telling, he's talking about the elders, they become examples to people in Macedonia and Achaia. But to us here, KCC, we be examples to believers who are in the church and the people who are around us. Whatever these people are saying, whatever they are telling us, really they live that way. They don't tell us this and they walk the other way. Let us be straight, be examples, whatever we teach to these young people, to the ones who have believed, the ones who are around us, they see exactly what we talk is what we live. Because these young people, they know, for example, I've said I'm not using a PowerPoint because I don't know how it is used. But maybe I will try a little bit if I will get a teacher to train me and they use them. Now they know how to analyze things when we tell them things. They make discussions on their way. Pastor Bundi was telling us to do this, and why doesn't he do the same? So that's why the Bible tells us, let us be examples to these young people. If it is example of love, let's show love even from our home. They learn that surely love, it is like house and soul lives. But at home, if they know that we have conflict at home, some sleep outside, others go the other way. And then on Sabbath, they say, okay, let's love one another. As Jesus said, they question our talk here. Why don't you love yourself? So let us be examples to the ones who listen to us, especially the believers who are in this church, and then they surrounding. It doesn't mean that everyone who is in the church has belief. They know, but who believes? Who has more belief? Ourselves or Satan? Who believes in it? Who knows? Let's say, let me use the one to know. Who knows Jesus more than the other one? We members, church members, or Satan? Satan knows Jesus more than us. And whenever he has that name mentioned, the Bible tells me he trembles. But we ourselves, we do not tremble even if we are doing anything which is a mess. Let's be examples, elders to the church of God. I will read this one, 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 16. I am reading from International Children's Bible. 1 Timothy 4:16. Be careful in your life and in your teaching. Continue to live and teach rightly. Then you will save yourself and those people who listen to you. That is the International Children's Bible. Let's be examples. Whatever we talk, we live by what we talk here. And here I've said, you note this one. Please note this before I conclude, before I finish everything, note this. It is easier, very easy, to compromise our religious values. It is very easy to compromise our religious values in the security, in the society in which we live them than preserving them. It's very easy to compromise the religious values in the country or the place where we are living. Instead of preserving the values, the religious values, we compromise. May God help us, church members, that we should not compromise the religious values to whatever is around us, to whatever we hear or see in this country. But let's keep the value of religion. I mean, we keep the what? Preserve. We preserve the religious values. And when Jesus comes, he will say, well done, get into the everlasting kingdom. Rather than say, I never knew you. The Bible tells me, some people ask Jesus, Jesus, why do you leave me? I was preaching and the people could be converted. Very many were converted. I even used your name to set away the evil spirits. And say, whatever you did your own things. I never knew you. Get out. Because we did not preserve the religious values. Lesson we are discussing today. People from Ephesus. Those people were not Jews. And Paul has taken the message to them. They have accepted. After accepting, they sold even their books, the magic books, whatever they were doing with them to get money, they burnt them, costing a lot of money. Why did they burn those ones? They did not want those books to be read by other people and make use of money, because they have been converted to Christianity. they preserved the value of religion. I can tell you a Sunday story of a certain man from where I come from. He was a very good preacher. Fortunately, he owned a matatu. Matatus, you understand, but those who come from here, they are now matatus here. Here there are Ubers and whatever. They are at home, matatus. He had 3 of them, and he could earn a lot of money. But he made his mind not to be giving 3,000 shillings every Sabbath tithe. He told his friend, that's too much I'm giving. But he could not see the much God has given him. What happened, he started sitting at that back seat. Anyway, I normally sit that seat is not good. Satan can normally sit there. Because when you are sitting there, you can watch and see people how they behave in the church. Some with no respect, some with other things, and you can be confused. Instead of listening, what made you to come here? You go home with a message of somebody who was wearing differently. You go to some, there are some things like that. That elder went back to that seat, he was sitting in that seat. You know what he was doing? He was teaching, don't do anything on the Sabbath day. But he was teaching contrary to what he was living contrary to what he was teaching. The 3 vehicles, which were bringing a lot of money, were working even on Sabbath days. So what he used to do was to listen and do discussion, election discussion. After that, he disappears. Where has he gone? He has gone to town to check how much those cars have brought, those vehicles. And to cut the story short, Satan used him, and he died without even a bicycle. All of them. The first vehicle knocked down the mosque, and that was off. Case went on until when he died. The second one was taken by his son. The son went with that vehicle, a son of a church elder, and drank. And he was driving, being drunk, he knocked another car, he died there, and the car was off. The third one was taken by the loan company. The old man was left with nothing. Finally, he got sick, and the sickness that is control. Well, I don't have once to explain that, but it was found in somebody's house. He was put a mark here with a sword. So whenever we could meet him, we asked him, what happened to your face? Oh, did you hear about the lorry that overturned somewhere, like the one we have been told by Pastor here? I was in that lorry, and then the cuttings I got. But the cuttings did not occur from the accident. Found in somebody's house, it was put that mark. Why are you disturbing my wife? Was given those marks. And for your information, he was unable to give tithe 3,000. That night he paid 6,000 shillings and was told, this woman I've given her to you, go. Let us keep the religious values, my friends. We should not compromise the religious beliefs with the other things that we are seeing and how we are living in this place. May the Lord bless us with that much for today, and may we keep the religious values according to His will.